Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pie Guy and Brodeur. One voice, two minds. I'm your host, Pie Guy, and before we begin, always remember, you can find the rest of these pie-tacular episodes and, of course, this one-of-a-kind podcast on YouTube, on that Brodeurland YouTube channel, and, of course, Spotify. Now, today on this episode, we're going to be talking about the word self-respect. That's right, not just respect, but the self-respect aspect. And to help me do this, we're going to be circling back around to the one, the only, Brodeur of Brodeurland, Mr. Brodeur. Hey, everybody. Hey, Pie Guy. That's right. We're going to be circling around to self-respect. Now, Mr. Brodeur, I have to ask you this. What in the world? We're talking about respect in the previous episode, now self-respect. Is there really that big of a difference? Yeah, there really is, Pie Guy. I mean, of course, when it comes down to it, there's the respect aspect. The question is with self-respect, what we're going to be taking a look at, Pie Guy, is the idea of respecting ourselves. Because here's the idea that I want you guys to all get out today. I want you to understand that if you don't respect yourself, if you don't have peace with yourself, then you can't go out there. You won't have the full capability to really make a difference in other people's lives, because if you don't have peace with yourself, if you can't respect yourself, then how are you going to in turn do that with the people that you encounter every single day? I see it, Mr. Brodeur. Now, don't spoil everything right now. We still got an episode we got to jump into, of course, Pie Guy. So you know what? I'm ready to dive on in. Me too, Mr. Brodeur. So let's slice into this word, self-respect. And so, Mr. Brodeur, what does it mean to have self-respect? How is it different from just the word respect that we just talked about in the previous episode? Yes, Pie Guy. So great question. And how is it different from respect? So in order to really understand and dive into this word of self-respect, we first got to look at what is that Brodeurland definition for self-respect. And it goes like this. You have to have confidence in yourself. You have to know you have value. You got to be true to yourself. You got to stand up for yourself. And of course, you've got to be honest with yourself at all times. You see, Pie Guy, the biggest difference between self-respect and, of course, respect is literally the self part. Well, Mr. Brodeur, I think I could have guessed that, and maybe everybody listening could have guessed that. Well, yes, Pie Guy, but let me elaborate. What I mean is self-respect is all about looking inward towards yourself, right? Versus respect is more, hey, how can I respect others? How can I respect the people that I encounter? And of course, how can I respect myself? So today we're looking inwards to ourselves. And when you do that, you can't put yourself down. You must know you are valuable. You are somebody. And you, yes, you listening, you have a purpose. And Pie Guy, self-respect is the beginning step to showing respect to others, helping others, and reaching out to others. If you don't respect yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, and if you don't even know you're valuable, then you won't be able to go out there and help others and raise them up. I see, Mr. Brodeur. So what you're saying is, if we can't value or respect ourselves, how can we in turn do that and respect others? Exactly, Pie Guy. You see, we have to be at peace with ourselves. We have to accept who we truly are. Once we can be confident in who we are, then will you be able to go out there and really foster respect in your life and help and make a difference in others. You see, this reminds me of a quote I share all the time when I talk about self-respect. And it goes like this. To be honest with yourself is to gain insight into who you truly are. You see, Pie Guy, it's so important to be honest with yourself, to be truthful with yourself. Now, Mr. Brodeur, quick question. How do I do that? How do I be honest with myself? How can I be truthful with myself? That's a great question, Pie Guy. And first, you have to step back. You have to recognize. You've got to accept your strengths, but of course, more importantly, also your weaknesses. Now, this is easier said than done. And I'll say this, as an adult, I feel like I've gotten better at this than when I was a kid, but I won't say I'm perfect. Yes, I'm better, but I still have weaknesses and I still have a hard time with this. But like I shared in the Take Ownership episode, I shared how my dad always told me growing up, and still even today, his saying or his quote, losers make excuses, winners have ways. That's right, Mr. Brodeur. I remember you sharing that and how he would use that saying anytime you weren't owning up to your setbacks. Exactly, Pie Guy. And as a kid, I was so bad at owning and reflecting and accepting those mistakes, those weaknesses, and many of times who I truly was. Also, I feel like we all go through phases as teens. For me, I wanted to be a skateboarder, a soccer player. I was in marching band, right? So I was a band nerd. We try on so many hats, and that is great. But just because we want to do something or be involved in something, hey, that doesn't mean we have to compromise on who we are. Stop putting on the masks and wearing the clothes, the brands they all say you have to wear to fit into those respective groups. You have to be you, your true self. I remember my friends saying all the time, growing up, you're a poser, you're wearing those Van shirts and you think you're a skateboarder? Really? Do you even skate anymore? You hear that all the time walking around in the middle school, high school setting, and all those settings, right? You're a poser. Do you really do this? Do you really do that? Here's the deal. Who cares? Stop worrying about the image. You are enough, no matter what you do. Wow, Mr. Brodeur, I feel like you're getting a little personal right there. You know what, Pie Guy? I am. But here's the deal. I'm not perfect, and I'm always trying to get better every day. But as an adult, we still face these same type of dilemmas. Trying to keep up with the Joneses, they say, right? My neighbor has that. I want that. My friends went for vacation here. You know what? I want to as well. At work, trying to fit in just to be noticed, promoted, accepted, recognized. You can't let all that get to you. Take it from someone that battles to try new things in my classroom with my Brodeurland stuff. I can't just do it to be recognized. I can't do any of this Brodeurland stuff if I'm not confident with myself, right? I got to find that purpose. I've got to find that meaning and run with it, right? And if I can make a difference in one person, then I know I'm doing something right. I have to be accepting of who I am and be vulnerable to share with the students. Be real. That's the key right there, Pie Guy. Man, Mr. Brodeur, I feel like you are really diving into this word self-respect. You keep stressing the importance of focusing on who you are and the importance of going out there and being your true self in any activity, any job, and with the people we encounter. Yes, correct, Pie Guy. And self-respect is all about being comfortable with yourself and being the same no matter where you are or who you're with. That is the key. Listen very carefully, everybody. Can I be the same person at church, with my parents, with my students, with my friends, wherever I am? Respect yourself enough to know yourself is good enough. You don't need approval from others. So, Pie Guy, it's time to be honest with ourselves. That's an important part of showing self-respect to ourselves. All right, Mr. Brodeur. So, earlier, you talked about our strengths. You talked about weaknesses. So, why is that important to self-respect? Can you elaborate more, I guess, on that perspective or that part? Yeah, now, Pie Guy, here's the deal. We all have strengths. The question is, can you recognize those strengths? Can you keep improving on those strengths and refining them? So many times people allow their strengths to create egos within themselves or get arrogant. You can't let that happen. You have to keep improving on those strengths and see if you can make a difference with those strengths in your life and the lives of the people around you. Accept your strengths. Be honest with yourself that they actually are strengths, and then go out there, work on them, and learn to use them to make a difference. Don't allow your strengths to go to waste. Find out how can you use them effectively in your life, in the lives of others. But also, Pie Guy, you can't ignore your weaknesses. Definitely not. We have to accept them. We've got to recognize them. Once you recognize your weaknesses, you know what? That is when you can start to move forward, to learn how can I improve on them and get better. For me, I used to hate public speaking, getting in front of others, really expressing myself. Wait a minute, Mr. Brodeur. You are saying you hated public speaking? I would have never guessed that, especially with all the stuff you do. Yes, Pie Guy, but you know what? I recognized that was a weakness. And I recognized some strengths I had, whether it was math, my creativity, and my willingness to go out there and really fuse it all together, right? These creations help me to get in the zone, perform better for my students, the teachers I interact with, in other situations I really find myself in throughout my life. The key is allow your strengths to give you the comfort and use that to build the confidence you need to overcome those weaknesses. You know, for me, sure, I love to kind of act at home and, act out scenes and play around. And I remember doing that as a kid, or singing along to musicals, right? So that part is who I am. That's a strength. So the question is, how, when I go out there, when I teach, when I get in front of people, when I get in front of a camera, when I do a little podcast, right? How can I get in the zone? How can I use those strengths, not necessarily to act and be fake? I still got to be vulnerable. I still got to be real. But how can I tap into those strengths to allow my performance to come alive in my classroom and be honest and true? Not a fake performance, but a true performance. I get a lot of that from my reading and understanding about Fred Rogers in his show, The Mr. Rogers Neighborhood. People used to say, is Mr. Rogers outside the camera and on camera, right? And that's where I told you guys earlier before. You got to be the same person no matter where you're at. Church, home, friends, school, work. Mr. Rogers was. You read many books on him. You read articles on him, and people are surprised. He's the same guy. That's what I strive to be. The same person, but can I tap into my strengths to allow me to break the mold, to get out there? So these strengths, they can help us overcome those weaknesses so we can go out there. We can continue to become that best version of ourselves. Now, here's the deal, Pie Guy. This is just the beginning of self-respect. We just really scratched the surface. So, Pie Guy, let's talk about the next step for self-respect. Okay, Mr. Brodeur, I'll say this. I feel like we've more than scratched the surface of self-respect, but I totally love how you shared about your weakness of public speaking and how you were able to overcome it with those strengths to really allow you to tap into them and push through that fear, I guess you could say, of those weaknesses so you can improve on them. So let me ask you this. What is the next step since we've only scratched the surface? Well, Pie Guy, earlier I talked about how you don't need recognition or others to confirm your value or who you are. It's like this quote by Alan Cohen, and he said this: if you know your true worth, you don't need anyone else to confirm it. Here's the deal, Pie Guy. Remember, like I said earlier, and I keep saying again and again in a lot of these episodes, you're somebody. You're capable. You're smart. You're worthy. You just got to go out there. You have to start believing in yourself. That's the key. Start today. It ain't going to happen overnight. Don't worry. You're not going to be 100%. Yay, I believe in myself. But the more you do it, the more you try it, the more routine it becomes, the more second nature you can start to trust in your abilities, go out there and really improve. You need to tell yourself you have value. And I'll repeat this over and over again. We all have dignity. You are meant for something, and you're meant for great things. We all are. You see, If you allow others to tell you your worth, guess what? It's never going to match up to your true value. Wow, Mr. Brodeur, that's big right there. Yes, Pie Guy, but it's true. It's time to be confident in yourself. It's time to go out there. It's time to really know who you truly are and believe in yourself. Don't let others tell you your worth. No, you're valuable. You are capable. But Mr. Brodeur, I'm not really confident in myself. You know what, Pie Guy? That is totally okay. It's time to take day by day. Over time, if you work on your self-confidence, which again is another Brodeurland Word of the Week, again, tapping in, showing that these words are all connected. And if you can start respecting yourself, if you can start inspecting and really understanding who you truly are, you will see that growth. You will see that understanding over time, so you can start believing in yourself and go out there and be that best version of yourself. Make a difference. Again, self-respect is going to require some other words of the week, of course, as well. Like we talked about, reflection, confidence, I mentioned a second ago, taking ownership. But remember, we are trying to get to the next level, which is self-respect. These are all going to build up, push you forward. And these words of the week all together will help you become that best version of yourself. That's the key. That's what I want you guys to get out of these episodes, this podcast, and these words of the week. Pie-tacular, Mr. Brodeur. I love it. It is crazy. The more and more we dive deeper into these words, the more and more we find that they are so connected. They are so important. They bleed into each other and are so necessary to create the building blocks to becoming that best version of yourself like you always talk about. Exactly, Pie Guy. And again, they are all building blocks on becoming that best version of ourselves. Not one will get you there. You need all of them. I mean, one word of the week can make you better, but you need them all. Perfect, Mr. Brodeur. Now, here's the deal, though. We are getting to that part of the episode where we do need to wrap things up. So is there anything else you would like to share on self-respect before we have to go? Well, Pie Guy, let's finish up talking about this quote that to me wraps up self-respect, and it goes like this. Don't compromise on your values to please others. Keep your self-respect intact, and you know what? Walk away. Here's the deal, Pie Guy. At the end of the day, don't compromise on your true value. Definitely not. There will be many times during the day, a week, a month, that we will be tested, that we will have decisions to make. The question is, are you going to stay true? Are you going to stay straight on your true path? Are you going to follow your true path? Know who you truly are? Or, you know what? Are you going to compromise? Are you going to veer off? You don't want to do that. No. And Pie Guy, even today, as an adult, I have to fight that urge to lower my standards and accept less of myself. No, you can't let that happen. I can't let that happen. I wish I could say I was perfect. But you know what? I'm not. I'm human. And sometimes, you know what? I find myself at work with my family, with my friends, and I can find myself trying too hard to fit in or be afraid to stand up for my values and my beliefs. But remember, like I keep repeating over and over again, you are somebody. You're capable. You are worthy. You matter. Don't allow people to sway you off your path. Yes, we have people in our lives that are cheerleaders. They're our true support, and that's great. But don't allow those other people to sway you off your path and make you compromise. No, you need to march out there. You need to walk away from those situations that are going to bring you down. And you got to move forward on your straight and true path so you can go out there. You can make a difference in the lives of everyone that you encounter and believe in yourself. That right there, Pie Guy, that right there, everybody, is the power of self-respect. Pie-tacular, Mr. Brodeur. I love it. I love how you got real with us and vulnerable with us. I feel right now I need to reflect back on my life And maybe even today and yesterday to see, have I compromised? Am I really living as my true self? And you know what, Mr. Brodeur? You've been telling us throughout this whole episode, it's time to be honest with ourselves so we can find that inner peace and in turn go out there and respect and help others. Pie-tacular. And remember, my friends, stay infinite. Don't put limits on yourself. Expand your horizons. And you know what, Mr. Brodeur? Finish us on style like you always do. Sure thing, Pie Guy. So always remember, you make each day a special day by just you being you. There's no one in the whole world like you except you, and I like you just the way you truly are. It's good that you exist, but you know what? You got to go out there. You got to gain that self-confidence. You got to be honest with yourself, true with yourself, and be that same person, your true self, no matter where you are. That way you can become that best version of yourself. So until next time, Broder out. Peace.